Vales of the Sahara, a Bedouin nomad's desert odyssey. Hey guys, tonight we're wandering into the sun-scorched dunes of the Sahara, around the 10th century CE, where the air shimmers with heat, camel bells, and the weight of tribal oaths that could shatter like glass in a sandstorm. Forget the caliph's marble palaces, or the merchants' spice-laden caravans. You're not a sheikh with a falcon or a poet with a lute. You're just you, a Bedouin nomad herding camels across endless sands, your heart entangled in a love that could ignite a blood feud fiercer than the Simoom winds. So, before you get cozy, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments where you're retuning in from and what time it is for you. It is always fascinating to see who else joining us from across the globe. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft whispering hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You wake to the harsh glare of dawn piercing the goat hair tent, the air thick with the scent of camel dung, acacia smoke, and the faint spice of last night's stew. Your home is a black tent, woven from goat wool by your clanswomen, its walls rippling like the dunes outside, pitched in an oasis on the Sahara's edge. Your bed is a woven palm mat on the sand, covered with a wool blanket that smells of sweat and survival. You're a Badawi, a nomad of the Banu Hilal tribe, guiding camels through the desert's vast emptiness, your life a rhythm of migration and mirage. Your possessions are light but vital, a curved dagger, a leather waterskin, a woven saddlebag of dates, and a hidden silver necklace tucked in your robe, a gift from Zahra, the daughter of a rival clan whose love could spark a war of spears and honor. You whisper a prayer to Allah, your voice blending with the grunt of camels and the distant howl of a jackal. Hygiene is a ritual of scarcity, as precious as water in a land where every drop is a gift from the heavens. You step outside, sand shifting under your bare feet like warm silk, to a shallow well ringed by date palms. Soap is a trader's luxury, so you scrub with fine sand, its grains scraping away sweat and dust, leaving your skin raw but refreshed, the desert's own exfoliant. You rinse with water from the skin, its metallic tang sharp on your tongue, and clean your teeth with a miswak twig, its fibrous end bitter as survival. Your robe, coarse wool dyed indigo, is shaken free of sand, its folds releasing the smell of campfire and myrrh. You rub your body with olive oil traded from caravans, a slick shield against the sun's fury, and tie your turban, its cloth a barrier against the wind's bite. Your sandals, leather straps over calloused soles, creak as you lace them, worn from endless treks. In a polished brass mirror, you see your reflection, but your thoughts drift to Zahra, herding goats in her clan's distant camp, her veil hiding a smile that haunts your dreams. Your day unfolds in the endless sands, a nomad's odyssey of herding and horizon chasing, where the desert is both mother and monster. As a herder, your task is the tribe's lifeblood, guiding the camel caravan through dunes that shift like treacherous waves. You sling your dagger at your belt, chewing cat leaves for stamina, and set out at a steady pace, your staff prodding the beasts, their bells a rhythmic warning to spirits. The Sahara is your Wi-Fi, connecting oases and trade routes from Tripoli to Timbuktu. But it's no leisurely stroll. Blistering heat turns the air into a furnace. Mirages mock your thirst and scorpions lurk in the shadows of rocks. You pause at a wadi, bartering salt for dates with a Tuareg trader, your voice sharp in haggling, quoting a Bedouin proverb when he drives hard. By midday your legs burn, your robe clings with sweat, and vultures circle overhead, drawn to your exhaustion. You sip water from the skin, its warmth a brief reprieve, and scan the horizon for raiders. Their shadows a lurking threat in the ergs. Zahra is your heart's hidden oasis, a daughter of the rival Banu Sa, the tribe whose beauty blooms like a desert rose amid thorns. You met her at a tribal gathering in the Siwa oasis, her eyes catching yours as she poured water for guests, her laugh soft as a zephyr. "Meet me by the date palms at midnight," she whispered, her hand brushing yours with a forbidden spark. Her role as a herder's daughter, bound by tribal honor, makes your love a defiance of the Badu code, punishable by blood feud or banishment to the empty quarter. Each stolen moment is a risk, A note passed in a saddlebag of figs, a glance during a caravan crossing, a kiss beneath a starry sky, her lips tasting of honey and courage. The drama thickens like a sandstorm. A rival tribesman, Karim, spies your meetings, his smirk sharp as a Jambia dagger, demanding your finest camel to keep silent. Your sheikh, sensing disloyalty, watches you closer, his decrees heavy with suspicion. Zara urges you to flee to the Red Sea coast, where waves might hide your love. But leaving means forsaking your clan, their lives tied to your herding skills. Your heart is a battlefield, torn between tribal oaths and Zara's warmth, each step a drumroll for a choice that could end in spears or sorrow. The nomad's life is a gauntlet of perils, both earthly and divine. Sandstorms howl from the void, their grains blinding like Allah's wrath, burying tents and scattering herds. Scorpions and vipers hide in the dunes, their venom a swift end to a careless step. Raiders from rival tribes strike like shadows, their curved blades glinting in moonlight raids, stealing camels and honor. Physically, the desert tests you. Thirst turns your tongue to leather, heatstroke blurs your vision, and a broken ankle could mean death in the trackless waste, your messages lost to the winds. Emotionally, the weight is heavier, loneliness in endless migrations, the fear of losing Zara to her arranged marriage, the guilt of a love that could ignite a feud. You find solace in small acts, sharing dates with a fellow herder, Ahmed, who jests about your sun-scorched face, calling you the camel's favorite shadow, listening to an elder's tales of ancient caravans, helping your sister milk a goat, her laughter a balm. The desert's rhythm, camel bells, oasis palms, the call to prayer, grounds you. But Zara's veil, seen during rare gatherings, feels like a divine gift, her grace a prayer you dare not voice. Society sees you as a Bedouin, a guardian of the sands, your freedom envied by settled folk, yet you're bound by tribal codes, your status as fluid as a mirage. The Arabian world reveres hospitality as sacred, but you're neither sheikh nor slave, your life a balance between survival and honor. You honor Allah with dawn salat, kneeling on your prayer rug as the sun crests the dunes, and offer milk to the jinn at an acacia tree, seeking favor for your herd and forbidden love. Superstition runs deep. You wear a blue bead against the evil eye, blame a lost camel on a ghoul's trick, and whisper Quranic verses to keep Zara safe. Your spiritual life is a tapestry of Islam and pre-Islamic law, blending devotion to the Prophet with desert rituals, each act a plea for harmony in a world of sand and stars. Zara's presence, her hands pouring water like a blessing, feels like a sacred rebellion, a love that defies the tribe's decree. Your legacy isn't in gold or mosques, but in the trails you carve, the caravans you guide, and a love that challenges the desert's laws. You teach a young kinsman, Faisal, to track stars for navigation, hoping he'll carry your name when the sands claim your bones. Your true legacy is Zara's song, her voice inspired by your stolen moments, destined to echo in tribal gatherings long after you're gone. History remembers Bedouins in poetry and chronicles, in the oases that sustained empires, in the whispers of the wind. You were no mere herder but a keeper of the Sahara's heartbeat, wandering under Allah's gaze, your soul a secret offering to love's forbidden dune. As the stars wheel overhead, casting silver across the sands, you sip camel milk, its creaminess lingering, and let the desert winds lull you into sleep's gentle embrace. Tonight we begin with another quiet journey into the past. A story that isn't loud, it doesn't rush, it unfolds slowly, detail by detail, until you feel as if you've stepped into another world. You are a servant in a medieval household. Your day begins long before the sun has even thought of rising. You wake up in the dark. Your bed isn't really a bed, it's a pile of straw, thinly covered by a rough wool blanket that smells of damp earth, smoke, and the sweat of a dozen nights before. Fleas crawl freely in the straw. You scratch absently at your skin. Itching is as permanent a part of your life as breathing. The room you share with other servants is cramped. The air is heavy, thick with the sour scent of unwashed bodies, livestock dung clinging to boots and the faint mildew of walls that sweat when it rains. Privacy doesn't exist here. You sleep shoulder to shoulder with others, some snoring, some coughing through the night, their breath fogging the chill air. A faint draft sneaks in through the cracks in the wooden shutters, cutting through your blanket, reminding you it's still winter. You huddle deeper. Warmth is a luxury. The fire in the great hall went out hours ago. No one wasted wood to keep the servants comfortable. Before you can let your mind drift back into sleep, a bell clangs from somewhere above. Sharp, demanding, echoing down the halls like a command you can't refuse. It's the call to rise. Your day doesn't belong to you, it never has. It belongs to the household, to the master and his family. They expect the fires lit, the bread warmed, the animals fed before they stir from their feathered beds. You stretch, your joints stiff from yesterday's labor, your back aches from hauling buckets of water, your hands raw from scrubbing pots with sand and ash. Complaining isn't an option. The only thing more exhausting than the work is the punishment for failing to do it. Someone beside you groans, rolls over. Another servant mutters a prayer under their breath before rising. The sound of shuffling feet fills the room, wooden clogs scraping against the uneven floorboards. No one speaks much. Words are a luxury at this hour. You splash your face with cold water from a cracked jug, water so stale it tastes faintly of wood and iron. Soap is rare, scent is worse. You rinse anyway. The mistress will notice if you carry the full stench of the stables to her table. By the time the first streaks of dawn barely graze the horizon, you are already outside, hauling wood for the kitchen fire. Your breath fogs the morning air, mixing with the steam that rises from the manure heap nearby. A rooster crows somewhere. For you, the day began long before the rooster. There's no such thing as waking up with the sun. This is how every morning begins. Already, your day has drained you before it has truly begun. The sun isn't even high enough to cast a real shadow. Your body is already heavy with work. Being a servant means there is no such thing as free time. The moment your eyes open, you're working. The moment your head hits the straw again, you're finished. Everything in between belongs to someone else. Your first stop is the kitchen, the true heart of the manor. Don't imagine it as warm and cozy. This isn't the kitchen of modern memory, with polished counters and gentle clatter. This is smoke and soot and chaos. The hearth is a gaping black mouth, its stones slick with old grease. The floor is damp with spills. The air is so thick with smoke your eyes sting and water. As soon as you step inside, you haul wood to feed the fire until sparks leap and the flames roar. Your arms ache, the fire must burn, always for warmth, for cooking, for bread. A noble household without fire is unthinkable. Keeping it alive is your responsibility. From there, the rhythm of chores unfolds like an endless, cruel dance. You carry buckets of water, one after another, fetched from a well so deep you hear its echo in your bones. The rope scrapes your palms raw, the bucket splashes your ankles. By the time you've made the 5th trip, your shoulders already feel like stone. No one thanks you. Water is expected, invisible like you. Then comes the laundry. Forget the soft hum of a machine. Laundry in your world is a cauldron of boiling water. Lies soap that eats the skin on your hands. Clothes beaten on stones until your arms shake with the effort. The mistress's linen must be spotless. Your own tunic clings to you with sweat and dirt. By midday you are sent to the yard. The animals must be fed, the stables cleaned. Manure piles high. Straw sticks to your boots. The air is heavy with the musk of horses, cows and pigs. Your nose doesn't flinch anymore. It gave up long ago. Your back bends under the weight of muck. You shovel until the rhythm of it becomes part of your body. Scoop, heave, dump. Scoop, heave, dump. A smell that will cling to you until the end of your day. No matter how much cold water you splash over yourself, back inside the kitchen has erupted into frenzy. A feast for the Lord means endless preparation. Plucking feathers from geese until down sticks to your face. Grinding grain into flour until your arms scream. Scrubbing pots blackened with soot. Each dish you carry to the table must be perfect. You will only taste scraps of it later, cold and stale. Another task waits. The mistress's shoes must be cleaned, her chamber pot emptied discreetly, her gowns brushed of dust, floors scrubbed with sand until your knees bruise. Windows scraped of grime. They never seem to shine. There is no pause. Servants are not permitted leisure. When the master's children cry, you soothe them. When his dog barks, you feed it. When he shouts, you bow and obey, even if it means running across the manor again with another heavy bucket or broom in your hand. Your steps today could rival the count of a modern marathon runner's. Instead of a medal, You are rewarded with aching joints and hands so raw they sting at the faintest touch. Tomorrow the steps will begin again. It is only midday. Already you are bone-tired. The household does not care. The work continues you, invisible, exhausted, and indispensable. Continue with it. By now your body feels like it's been borrowed and beaten. The real weight of being a servant isn't just the work. It's the humiliation that comes stitched into every thread of your life. You are not a person here. You are a pair of hands, a back that bends, a body that obeys. Everything about your existence reminds you of that truth. Your clothes, for instance, you don't get new garments of your own. The tunic you wear is a hand-me-down from the master's family, patched. So many times the fabric looks more like a map of stitches than cloth. The wool is scratchy. It smells faintly of the smoke you can never escape. Your shoes are worn through at the sole. Every step across cold stone floors presses directly into your skin. The lord and lady you serve glide past you in silk and fur. You in your tattered rags bow your head as they pass. Lifting your eyes too high is considered insolent. To look them directly in the face is to invite punishment, speaking out of turn. Another punishment, dropping a dish. Punishment, forgetting to bow deeply enough. Punishment. The punishments themselves vary. Sometimes it's sharp words that cut deeper than they should. Sometimes it's a cuff to the ear that leaves you dizzy. Sometimes, for greater mistakes, it's beatings that leave bruises you cannot hide. You endure because there is no choice. The hierarchy of the household is clear. The master at the top, the mistress beside him, their children beneath. Then the steward and overseers, finally, far, far below, you and your fellow servants. Even the master's hound eats better than you do. When scraps fall from the table, the dog claims them first. You are left with whatever crumbs remain. While nobles enjoy music, conversation, or even hunting trips, you hover in the background, ready to pour wine, fetch cloaks, or clean whatever they've left behind. Your presence is expected. Your voice is not. You are furniture that moves. Humiliation does not stop at work. It seeps into your very identity. No one calls you by your true name anymore. You are boy, girl, kitchen hand, stable rat. You are defined only by the tasks you perform, never by who you are. Even among servants there is a hierarchy. Some are favored, work closer to the master's family. Others, like you, remain at the bottom, doing the dirtiest, most thankless jobs. Rivalries spark, whispers cut. You learn quickly that even among the oppressed, pride claws for scraps. You start to realize that invisibility is both curse and shield. When you're invisible, you're ignored, which can mean fewer beatings. It also means you could disappear entirely. No one would notice in moments like this, when your knees ache from scrubbing the same floor that will be dirty again by tomorrow. You can't help but feel the futility of it all. No matter how hard you work, no matter how much pain you endure, there is no upward path, no promotion, no thank you. The best you can hope for is to remain unnoticed, to survive another day without drawing wrath. That is the harsh reality. You aren't just poor, you aren't just overworked. You are stripped of dignity at every turn. Your body is your master's tool. Your spirit is pressed down, day after day, until it feels like even your thoughts are not your own. You wouldn't last a day. The weight here isn't measured only in buckets of water or bundles of wood. It's measured in humiliation. That perhaps is heavier than anything you've carried so far. The sun finally begins its slow descent, casting long shadows across the courtyard stones. For you, the day is far from finished. Evening is just another stretch of labor, just another list of duties that must be done before you're allowed to collapse. As the master and his family sit down to a warm supper, laughter and conversation floating from the hall, you hover at the edges, unseen. Your job is to serve, to refill cups, to carry steaming dishes from the smoky kitchen, to stand ready in case anyone wants more. Your stomach twists with hunger at the smell of roasted meat and fresh bread. You will not eat now. You will eat later after the family is finished. What you eat will not be a feast, it will be scraps, crusts of bread, bones already gnawed clean, a spoonful of cold stew someone didn't want. When the family retires for the night, the servants remain awake. You scrub the dishes until your hands sting from the grease and lye. You sweep the floors until your knees ache from kneeling on stone. You douse the candles, close the shutters, check the locks. Every sound, every creak of a board or howl of wind outside, is your responsibility. The household sleeps safely because you do not sleep yet, only when every task is finished, when the fires are banked and the halls fall silent. Do you return to your corner of the servants' quarters? By then your body feels hollowed out, a shell of aching muscles and raw skin. You sit for a moment on your straw mattress, exhausted beyond words. The air is heavy with the smell of sweat, smoke, and damp wool around you. Others collapse too, some groaning, some coughing, some too tired even to speak. You chew your scraps of food in silence, bread hard as stone, stew cold as mud. It barely fills you. Hunger is just the background noise of life. As you lie down, fleas and lice crawl across your skin. Undisturbed by your swatting, the blanket does little to shield you from the night's chill. The straw pricks at your back. Every bruise from the day presses against the hard floor beneath somehow. You close your eyes. Not because you are comfortable, not because you are content, because your body simply has no other option. Sleep takes you the way gravity does, sudden, heavy, undeniable. In those final moments of waking, as your mind drifts, you know one simple truth. Tomorrow will not be different. Tomorrow the bell will ring before dawn. Tomorrow the water will need hauling. The fires will need stoking. The floors will need scrubbing. Tomorrow, the humiliation. The aching joints, the invisibility, all of it will return exactly as it did today. This is not a story with an escape. Not unless you are born into wealth, or the church takes you in, or fortune somehow lifts you beyond this station. For most servants, this life is not a chapter. It is the whole book. You wouldn't last a day, not because the work would break you, though it would, not because the hunger would drain you, though it would. The sheer monotony of exhaustion, the absence of freedom, the erosion of dignity. These are weights heavier than any pail of water, any bundle of wood, any sack of grain. You would not last a day as a medieval servant if somehow you did. Congratulations, tomorrow would look exactly the same. A part of history that's equal parts fascinating and unsettling. Not battles, not kings, not monuments of stone, but the little bottles, powders, and potions that once promised healing. Strange things people swallowed, rubbed on their skin or carried close to the heart, all in the hope of easing pain. This is boring history for sleep, a place where we let history drift over us like a slow current, carrying us back through centuries, into worlds that feel both distant and oddly familiar. Its journey begins not in a grand palace, but in an ordinary home, a place where someone has woken up sick and where medicine is about to arrive, though not the kind you'd recognize. You open your eyes in a small, smoky room. The air is heavy with the scent of damp wood and the faint sourness of unwashed wool. Your head throbs, your stomach twists, and your body feels weak. In our world, you might reach for aspirin, water, or a doctor's visit. But here, centuries ago, medicine looks different. Your family brings out a string of garlic cloves, tying them carefully around your neck. Garlic, they believe, wards off disease, especially the dreaded plague. The sharp smell makes your eyes water, and your throat feels coated with its pungent bite. But this is comfort in its own way. To them, the scent of garlic is the scent of safety. If the pain persists, perhaps they will crush gemstones, yes, real stones, emeralds, sapphires, even powdered pearls. Ground to dust, mixed with wine, and swallowed, the sparkle that once shone in the light of a ring now scrapes against your throat, carrying with it the belief that preciousness itself has healing power. Or maybe they'll slip a small toad bone into your pocket, a charm said to ease cramps. A talisman, not medicine as we know it, but something to carry close, a quiet hope against the ache nearby. An old woman tends to a bubbling pot. She's no physician, not in the modern sense, but an herbalist, a village healer. She stirs dried rosemary, sage, and mint into a steaming broth, their sharp, earthy aromas filling the room. To her, every plant has a spirit, every leaf a purpose. A sip of her mixture tastes bitter, clinging to the tongue, but your family nods reassured. Outside, the streets carry their own smells: animal dung, smoke from cook fires, damp stone after a night's rain, and mingling with all of it is the sharp scent of vinegar. Another cure-all. People soak rags in it, press it to their faces and breathe deeply, believing the sour fumes can cleanse the air of sickness. It is strange, unsettling, even humorous to us now, But for them this is hope. Hope carried in garlic necklaces, in jewel-dusted wine, in the pungent steam of boiling herbs. And as you drift back against your straw pillow, these remedies surround you like a shield, fragile though it may be. Because in a world without modern medicine, every small ritual, no matter how strange, is a way of fighting back against the unknown. Morning remedies might have been strange, but what came next was far worse. Because for much of history, people believed that healing power was hidden in death itself. You're sitting now in a dark apothecary's shop, the kind that smells of dust, resin, and something faintly rotten. Shelves line the walls, stacked with jars and bundles. Dried herbs, yeah, but also powders that look less innocent. Some glisten like ground bone, others are darker, like earth that's been burned. And if you ask what they are, the apothecary will tell you quietly, almost proudly, mummy powder. For centuries, people in Europe believed that consuming the remains of ancient Egyptian mummies could cure illness. The body, preserved with resins and wrapped in linen, was ground into a fine, brownish dust. Apothecaries sold it in little packets, mixed it into wine, or stirred it into broths. It was thought to heal anything from headaches to bleeding, to even grant vitality and long life. The irony, of course, is that this ancient body, once entombed for eternity, ended up inside the stomachs of wealthy nobles hoping to feel a little better. But it didn't stop with mummies. Human remains closer to home were used too. Powdered skull, for example, was considered one of the finest treatments for headaches. You had a migraine. The cure was to scrape a little from a dead man's skull, grind it up and swallow it. The logic seemed simple. Head pain should be healed by something from the head. And if that wasn't unsettling enough, blood itself became medicine. In some places, it was believed that drinking fresh human blood, still warm, could treat epilepsy. Execution grounds became pharmacies of desperation. Crowds would gather at beheadings, not only to watch the spectacle, but to rush forward with cups and cloths, soaking up the blood of the condemned. To them, it wasn't horror, it was healing. Imagine standing there. The air is sharp with iron, the sound of the crowd restless, the body of the condemned man still twitching. You lift a cup, trembling, and drink. The blood is hot, metallic, and bitter, and for a moment, you hope that it might quiet the storm inside your mind. Other parts of the body too were used in this strange pharmacy of the dead. Fat from corpses was melted down into salves, rubbed on wounds or aching joints. Bone marrow was stirred into potions. Even human teeth, plucked from the mouths of the dead, were thought to carry healing power when ground and swallowed. It is easy now to recoil, to think of these remedies as horror stories, as grotesque mistakes. But in their world, medicine was not science as we know it. It was desperation. When sickness spread like wildfire, when pain tore through bodies with no explanation, people reached for anything. And if life and vitality seem to dwell in the body, then why not borrow it, even from the dead? As night falls in that apothecary's shop, the smell of resin and decay clings to your clothes. You leave with a small packet of brown powder, told it will heal you. You do not know that it was once a body. All you know is that you are sick, and in this world, sickness leaves little room for disgust. Because in the past, the cure was often stranger and far darker than the disease. If human remains seem unsettling, history has even stranger cures waiting. Remedies pulled not from tombs, but from the fields, the rivers, and even the barnyard floor. You wake again, this time with a bleeding cut on your hand. In our world, you might reach for antiseptic, a bandage, maybe a doctor, but centuries ago, someone reaches instead for a spider's web. Delicate threads, plucked from the corner of a house, are pressed gently into the wound. Sticky, fragile, yet strangely strong, spider webs were believed to stop bleeding and even help a wound heal faster. Some healers swore by them, convinced that the web's silk carried hidden medicinal power. The idea lingers for centuries, woven into folk practice. For a cough or sore throat, remedies grew stranger still. Healers sometimes reached for snails, crushed slimy, their mucus mixed into syrups or wine. The cool, thick substance was thought to soothe the burning of the throat, coating it in a protective layer. It sounds absurd now, but in a world with no modern syrups or lozenges, snail slime became an unlikely medicine. And then there were frogs, not to eat, not quite. Some recipes called for boiling them into ointments, others for drying their bodies, grinding them into powder, and swallowing the mixture. Frogs, it was believed, carried healing powers, cooling fevers, calming inflammation, driving out sickness. The taste, you can imagine, was not the point, the hope was. But perhaps the most memorable remedies of all were found in dung. Yes, dung, animal droppings, gathered fresh, stirred into pastes or pressed into poultices. Pigeon droppings were smeared onto the skin to treat burns. Cow dung mixed into ointments was said to draw out infection. In ancient Egypt, even crocodile dung was used in concoctions, sometimes as a form of medicine, sometimes as a crude contraceptive. To us it feels unthinkable. To them it was practical, a substance always at hand, always ready to be tried. The smell of these mixtures was unforgettable, sharp, sour, earthy in the worst way, but desperation can dull the senses. When a child was sick, when a fever rose, when pain clawed at the body, parents reached for whatever the local healer suggested, no matter how foul. And it wasn't all foul. Many remedies blended the strange with the beautiful. A pouch of dried herbs worn around the neck, a perfume of rosemary, lavender, or sage meant to chase away plague, a potion brewed from honey and vinegar, sharp yet sweet, offered as a tonic for digestion. In these mixtures you can glimpse the beginnings of what we might one day call real medicine, pieces of truth hidden among centuries of trial and error. Still, the strangeness lingers. Imagine lying in bed, your wound pressed with spider silk, your throat coated with snail syrup, the air around you sharp with the scent of rosemary, and somewhere nearby a jar of ointment thick with dung. This is not comfort as we know it, but in the past, comfort was never guaranteed, only the chance, however slim, of healing, because medicine then was not about certainty. It was about trying everything, from the herbs of the field, to the slime of the snail, to the dust of the grave. The day draws to a close. The fire in the hearth burns low, its smoke curling upward into the dim rafters. You lie on a straw mattress, the weight of the day's remedies still clinging to you. The pungent garlic necklace around your neck, the bitter taste of herbs on your tongue. Perhaps even the sticky trace of some ointment rubbed onto your skin. The room is heavy with smells, dried rosemary hanging from the beams, vinegar soaking in rags, smoke from the fire mixing with the sharp sting of garlic. Beneath it all is the faint sourness of the body, unwashed, feverish, tired. You close your eyes, but sleep is uneasy. Illness in this time is constant, a shadow that lingers in every home, coughs that never go away, fevers that rise suddenly, pain in the joints, swelling in the skin, headaches that gnaw for days. In our world, there are pills, injections, surgeries, but here there is only hope. Hope bound in garlic, in spider silk, in the dust of bones. It is easy to smile now at the strangeness of it all, to laugh gently at the idea of chewing gemstones or pressing frog ointment to a wound, or even drinking blood, but to those who lived it, these were not jokes, they were lifelines. When death walked in every village, when plagues emptied streets, when childbirth itself was a daily gamble, people clung to whatever cures they could imagine. And so the day ends like this, with remedies that seem more superstition than science, more fear than fact, but each one carried with it the same quiet wish to live another day, because beneath the strangeness, there is something deeply human. A refusal to give in to pain without a fight, a determination to try, however desperate the attempt, to wrestle life back from sickness, even if that meant drinking powdered skull, even if it meant smearing dung on a wound, even if it meant swallowing the dust of a mummy shipped across seas. You roll onto your side, the firelight flickering across the walls. Outside, the village is quiet. The night, still, somewhere. Saturday, August 30th, 2025. A dog barks. Somewhere, a healer wakes to tend another sick body. And you realize, these strange medicines are not just curiosities. They are memories of fear, of struggle, of survival. And so we end here, not with mockery, but with a kind of awe at the lengths people went to, awe at their creativity, their desperation, their resilience. Because though their cures might sound bizarre, their hope feels familiar. It is the same hope we carry now, in hospitals, in clinics, in every small act of care, the hope that tomorrow will be better than today. And that is the strange, sometimes gross, always fascinating truth about medicine in the past. So yes, you wouldn't last a day in that world, not from the sickness itself, but from the cure. Mist-shrouded hills of feudal Japan, around 1600 CE, where the air hums with cherry blossoms, steel, and the weight of honor sharper than any blade. Forget the shogun's golden palace or the daimyo's silk banners. You're not a warlord with a castle or a poet with a brush. You're just you, a low-ranking samurai, bound by Bushido. Your life a dance of duty and a forbidden love that could cut deeper than your katana. You wake to the soft rustle of tatami mats beneath your straw pallet, the air cool with the scent of cedarwood and the faint smoke of last night's hearth. It's dawn in a small castle town in the shadow of Kyoto. Your home a modest wooden house with paper screens that glow faintly pink in the rising sun. Your bed is a thin futon, rolled out on the floor, its cotton worn thin by years of restless nights, smelling of rice straw and discipline. You're a bushi, a samurai serving a minor daimyo. Your loyalty sworn to a lord whose name carries less weight than his temper. Your possessions are sparse but sacred, a katana and wakizashi, their scabbards lacquered black. A hemp robe, a small wooden amulet carved with Amaterasu's sun, and a hidden poem folded in your sleeve, its ink tracing the name of Hana, the shrine maiden, whose forbidden gaze could unravel your honor. You murmur a prayer to Amaterasu, goddess of the sun, your voice blending with the chirp of sparrows and the distant clang of a temple bell. Hygiene is a ritual of purity, as much for the soul as the body, in a land where cleanliness honors the kami. You step outside, barefoot on the cold stone path, to a wooden bucket by the well, its water sharp with mountain chill. Soap is a luxury for merchants, not warriors, so you scrub with rice bran, its gritty scratch scouring sweat and dust, leaving your skin raw but alive. You rinse with a ladle, the water stinging like a winter breeze, and clean your teeth with a willow twig, its bitter sap a morning penance. Your hair, tied into a top knot, is slicked with camellia oil, its nutty scent a fleeting comfort. Your hemp robe, patched but clean, rustles as you dress, the weight of your swords at your waist a reminder of Bushido's unyielding code. You polish your katana's hilt, its steel cold as a promise, and tuck Hana's poem deeper into your sleeve, your heart racing at the thought of her shrine, where cherry petals fall like silent vows. The town stirs, merchants haggling, monks chanting, but your eyes search for her silhouette, a forbidden prayer against the dawn. Your day unfolds under the daimyo's orders, a rhythm of duty that binds you to the land and its lord. As a low-ranking samurai, your tasks are humble yet vital. Patrolling the castle's wooden walls, training in the dojo, or guarding the rice granary. It sacks the lifeblood of the domain. You grip your katana, its balance a second heartbeat, and practice katas under the watchful eye of a grizzled sensei, his critiques sharp as a naginata. The sun climbs, turning the air heavy with dust and pine resin, your robe clinging to sweat-soaked skin. You pause to sip barley tea from a clay cup, its earthy tang a brief reprieve, and barter with a farmer for a pickled plum, your voice low to avoid the captain's glare. Your ledger, a mental tally of duties and debts, tracks the rice you owe for a blade sharpening, but in its margins you etch Hana's name, a secret kanji erased before a rival samurai's glance. By noon, your muscles ache, your sandals are caked with mud, and mosquitoes hum like tiny shuriken, drawn to your heat. You stand vigil by the gate, your shadow long and still, but your mind wanders to the shrine where Hana tends the sacred flame. Hana is your heart's rebellion, a shrine maiden whose purity is meant for the kami, not a warrior's touch. You met her during the spring festival, her white kimono glowing under lanterns, her dance for Inari weaving through the crowd like a spell. She slipped you a poem, its paper scented with sandalwood, whispering, "Meet me by the torii at dusk." Her role as a miko, serving the gods, makes your love a defiance of heaven and earth, punishable by banishment or a blade across your neck. Each stolen moment is a risk, A glance as she sweeps the shrine steps, a brush of her fingers passing you a rice offering, a kiss beneath a cherry tree, her lips tasting of green tea and courage. The drama unfolds like a no play. A jealous samurai, Taro, spies your meetings, his smirk sharp as his tanto, demanding your silence with a threat to tell the daimyo. The shrine elders, sensing impurity, watch Hana closer, their chants heavy with suspicion. She urges you to flee to the mountains, where bandits might shelter your love, but leaving means forsaking your lord, your family, your honor. Your heart is a battlefield, torn between Bushido's steel and Hana's warmth, each beat a silent vow to choose before the next moon. The samurai's life is a gauntlet of perils, both seen and unseen. Bandits roam the hills, their arrows a whisper of death in the forest. Rival clans plot raids, their spies hidden in the town's sake dens, and a single misstep in etiquette could provoke a duel, your katana against a foe's grudge. Physically, the world tests you. Summer's heat turns armor into an oven, winter's frost bites through straw sandals, and a poorly timed kata could sprain a wrist, leaving you defenseless. Emotionally, the weight is heavier, loneliness in a life of solitude, the fear of losing Hana to her sacred vows, the guilt of a love that could dishonor your ancestors. You find solace in the community, sharing sake with a fellow samurai, Takeshi, who jests about your mud-stained robe, calling you the daimyo's favorite scarecrow, listening to an old monk's tales of the Heian court, helping your sister mend a fishing net, her laughter a balm. The town's rhythm, farmers' songs, the clack of looms grounds you, but Hana's dance, seen during festivals, feels like a divine gift. Her movements a prayer you dare not voice. Society sees you as a samurai, a guardian of order. Yet you're a low-ranking warrior, your status as fragile as a paper screen. The Edo world reveres Bushido as sacred, but you're neither daimyo nor peasant, your life a balance between loyalty and survival. You honor Amaterasu with dawn prayers, kneeling by a stream as herons take flight, and offer rice to Inari's shrine, seeking favor for your lord and your forbidden love. Superstition runs deep. You wear a red thread against yokai, blame a lost sparring match on a fox spirit's trick, and whisper charms to keep Hana safe. Your spiritual life is a tapestry of Shinto and Buddhist rites, blending devotion to the kami with Zen's quiet focus, each act a plea for harmony in a world of steel and sacrifice. Hana's presence, her hands folding origami cranes for peace, feels like a sacred rebellion, a love that defies the god's decree. Your legacy isn't in chronicles or castles, but in the cuts you carve, the rice you guard, and a love that challenges Bushido's chains. You teach a young page, Kenji, to hold a bakken with courage, hoping he'll carry your name when the mountains claim your bones. Your true legacy is Hana's dance, her steps inspired by your stolen moments, destined to echo in shrine rituals long after you're gone. History remembers samurai in scrolls and songs, in the blades that shape Japan's fate. You were no mere warrior but a keeper of the land's heartbeat, standing vigil under Amaterasu's gaze, your soul a secret offering to love's forbidden shrine. As the moon rises, casting silver across the cherry trees, you sip sake, its warmth lingering, and let the wind's whispers lull you into sleep's gentle tide. We're stepping back into the sands of ancient Rome, not the polished marble halls of emperors, not the wealth of senators, but into the rough, iron-scented world of gladiators, men who fought, bled, and often died for the entertainment of thousands. You wake up not in your bed, but in a cell, inside a gladiator school. Your day begins long before the cheering crowd ever sees your face. You wake up to darkness. Your bed is nothing but a sack of straw thrown across the floor, its fabric torn and stained with sweat from countless nights. The straw inside scratches your skin. Worse, it moves sometimes. Lice, fleas, little companions that never leave. Around you, dozens of other men shift and stir. Some groan from injuries that never healed. Others mutter in foreign tongues. Gauls, Thracians, Greeks. Men dragged here as slaves, criminals, prisoners of war. Few are here by choice. The air is heavy, thick with the stink of unwashed bodies, the sour tang of stale wine, the metallic bite of iron weapons stacked somewhere beyond the barred door. You can hear the clink of chains too. Some men are shackled even in their sleep. Before the sun rises, the voice of the lanista, the gladiator master, echoes down the hall. His tone is sharp, commanding, without room for hesitation. You are property here, a tool to be sharpened, a body to be pushed until it breaks. You rise slowly, your muscles stiff from yesterday's drills, every part of you aches, your shoulders from swinging heavy wooden swords, your shins from repeated blows, your palms raw with blisters. There is no time to recover. Rest is not part of your life. Breakfast is handed out. A bowl of barley porridge, thick and bland, with a crust of bread and watered-down wine. This is the gladiator's fuel. Heavy in starch to bulk up the body, but low in flavor. You eat quickly, sitting on the ground, surrounded by silence and the scrape of wooden bowls. No one lingers. Food is fuel, nothing more. Then training begins. The courtyard of the ludus is already filled with dust kicked up by tired feet. Wooden posts. The palus. Stand ready. These posts are your enemy until your arms burn. Over and over you swing a wooden sword, heavier than the real iron blade you may one day carry, striking the post again and again until your muscles scream. Sweat runs down your face, stinging your eyes, soaking the rough fabric of your tunic. The sun climbs higher, but there is no pause. The lanista walks among you, shouting corrections, cracking whips for those who falter. You are not an athlete here. You are livestock, trained to fight for spectacle. By the time the morning has barely begun, your body is already broken with exhaustion. This is only the start of your day. The hours stretch long beneath the Roman sun. Training for a gladiator is not a choice. It is a cycle of repetition, pain, and obedience, broken only by the occasional lash of the whip or the barked command of the lanista. You grip the practice sword again, heavier than the real blade, and lift it until your arms shake. You swing against the wooden post. Strike, step back, strike again, over and over, until your shoulders feel like they're tearing apart. Sweat stings the cuts already opening on your hands. The blisters throb with each swing. No one cares. Pain is part of your education. Next comes sparring. Pairs of men are dragged into the dusty ring, ordered to fight while the others watch. Wooden shields splinter, helmets rattle, blows land with heavy thuds. There is no gentle training here. Every strike is meant to bruise, to break, to harden. Injuries are constant. A split lip, a broken rib, an eye swollen shut. The lanista doesn't flinch. You are investments. Broken tools can still be sharpened. You are reminded again that you are property. Guards line the edges of the yard, their whips ready if anyone dares to falter, or worse, resist. Shackles clink at the ankles of those deemed untrustworthy. You eat when you're told. You fight when you're told. You sleep when you're told. Every movement of your life belongs to the school. Meals are the only respite, though even they are meager. More barley porridge, thick and heavy in your stomach. Beans, sometimes cheese, sometimes meat if the school can spare it. Always watered-down wine to drink. Just enough to dull the ache, but never enough to make you forget. The diet fattens you, builds bulk, makes you look strong. The Romans preferred their gladiators big, not lean athletes, but heavy, powerful bodies built for spectacle, training resumes after you eat. This time with shields, with nets, with tridents, with short swords. The doctors, the trainers, bark orders as you stumble through different fighting styles. Each gladiator is shaped into a role. The secutor with his heavy shield, the retiarius with his net and trident, the murmillo with his fish-crested helmet. You don't get to choose, your fate is assigned like everything else. The courtyard rings with the sound of clashing wood and the grunts of exhausted men. Dust rises in choking clouds, mixing with the iron tang of blood from a cut too deep or a bruise split open. The sun burns hot above, but there is no shade. Sweat streaks your face. Every breath tastes of dust and copper. When exhaustion sets in, punishment is waiting, too slow. The whip cracks across your back. Too clumsy, you're forced to repeat the drill until your legs shake beneath you. Weakness is not tolerated. Weakness doesn't sell tickets in the arena. Beneath the cruelty, a strange rhythm forms. The men beside you, and strangers, enemies, fellow slaves, become brothers of survival. You share food, water, bruises. You know that tomorrow, one of them might be ordered to face you in the arena. For now, you endure together. By the time the sun begins to dip, your body is ragged. Your arms feel carved from lead. Your legs tremble with each step. Your throat burns with thirst. You collapse back into your cell, skin streaked with sweat and dirt, hands raw and trembling. This is not glory. This is not honor. This is routine. It grinds down every piece of you until all that remains is a body trained for one purpose: to fight. The day of the games begins not with cheering, but with silence. You wake before dawn in the ludus, stomach twisting tighter than usual. The air feels different, charged, heavy with the knowledge that today you will step out of the safety of drills and into the jaws of spectacle. The guards lead you and the others from your cells through the narrow streets toward the massive stone shadow of the amphitheater. The Colosseum rises like a mountain of marble and iron. Its arches stretch upward, rows upon rows of seats waiting to be filled with thousands of voices. The closer you get, the more you hear it. The growing roar of the crowd, the clash of vendors selling wine and bread, the bark of animals caged nearby. Inside, the smell hits you first. Dust, sweat, smoke from burning incense, the metallic sting of blood, because the sand has already drunk deep this morning. Before the gladiators fight, criminals and prisoners have already been executed, torn apart by beasts or by blades. Their cries still echo faintly in the corridors. You step over streaks of blood that stain the stone beneath your sandals. In the underground holding pens, you wait. Other gladiators sit in silence, adjusting straps on their armor, whispering prayers to gods who may or may not listen. Some sharpen blades, though you know most of today's fights will not be with sharp iron at all. Not yet. Many bouts begin with wooden weapons or dulled steel, meant to wound but not to kill. Death is not always the goal, entertainment is. Then the trumpets sound. You're led into the blinding sunlight of the arena floor. The sand crunches beneath your feet, hot and rough, covering hidden stains of old blood. The noise of the crowd slams into you like a wave. Tens of thousands of voices cheering, booing, jeering, screaming. They don't know your name. They don't care about your pain. They are here for spectacle. You are the spectacle. The fight begins. Your opponent stands across from you, his helmet gleaming, his shield raised. The two of you circle, weapons poised, the sun burning down on your back. Every strike you make echoes in the amphitheater, shield against sword, wood against wood, metal against metal. The crowd roars with every hit, every stumble, every close call. You can smell your own sweat mixing with the dust of the sand. Your arms ache, your lungs burn, your vision blurs at the edges, but you push forward because to falter is to invite death. Sometimes the fight ends in submission, a nod of defeat, a weapon dropped, the crowd satisfied. Sometimes it ends with blood, a wound that leaves the sand dark and sticky. Sometimes, when the crowd is hungry for more, it ends with death. When a gladiator falls, the emperor or the editor of the games may raise his hand. The gesture decides everything, a signal for mercy or for death. The truth is messier than the stories. Thumbs up and thumbs down were not always clear. What is clear is that your life in that moment belongs not to you but to the crowd. If you win, you are cheered, praised, perhaps even rewarded with a wreath of palm leaves or a small purse of coins. Victory is fleeting. Because even as you leave the arena floor, bloodied and shaking, you know this: the crowd will demand more tomorrow. Glory? Here is not freedom. Glory is simply survival for one more day. The arena is behind you now. The roar of the crowd still rings in your ears, echoing like thunder long after the storm has passed. The sand still clings to your skin, streaked with sweat, dust, and blood. Some of it yours, some of it not. You are led back through the tunnels, away from the blinding sunlight into the cool darkness of the underground corridors. The air is damp, thick with the smell of animals still caged in their pens. Restless lions and bears pacing behind wooden bars, you walk past them silently, knowing that tomorrow they may be loosed upon men just like you, back in the ludus. The day closes with exhaustion, not celebration. Victors and the wounded return alike, shuffled back into the cells that feel less like barracks and more like cages. Some men limp, others are carried. A few do not return at all. The physician comes, a man trained not in comfort but in efficiency. He tends to wounds with crude stitches, hot irons, and vinegar. His touch burns more than it soothes. Infection is as much a danger as the sword. If you are lucky, your injuries are shallow. If you are unlucky, you may not live to see another dawn. You eat again, another bowl of porridge, a crust of bread, a sip of sour wine. It is not a meal fit for the champions the crowd cheers for, but fuel enough to keep you alive for tomorrow. Hunger is constant. So is the heavy weight of fatigue around you. Some men whisper prayers of thanks for survival. Others stare silently at the walls, hollow-eyed, too tired to speak. A few smile faintly, proud of their victory, knowing that for one more day they have cheated death. But deep down they all know survival is temporary, because here, glory does not last. The Romans may cheer your name. They may hang your likeness on painted walls. They may shower you with gifts if you become a favorite. Admiration comes from the same crowd that hungers to see you bleed again. You are both adored and despised. A celebrity in chains, a hero who sleeps on straw. When you finally lie down, the cell feels colder than ever. Your body is bruised, your muscles stiff, your mind weighed down by the knowledge that this cycle will never end. Tomorrow the sun will rise, training will resume. Eventually the gates of the arena will open once again. You do not dream of freedom. For most gladiators, freedom never comes. A rare few, after years of survival, are awarded the rudies. A wooden sword that marks their release. Most die long before that day arrives. That is the truth of glory. It is not the thunder of the crowd. It is not the wreath placed on your head, or the coin pressed into your hand. Glory is survival. Glory is one more night alive, one more morning to wake to the sound of chains and drills. You would not last a day, not because of the blade, not because of the beasts, because of the endless weight of exhaustion, the constant nearness of death, the bitter truth that every victory only buys you another fight. You would not last a day as a gladiator in ancient Rome. If somehow you did, tomorrow, the crowd would demand blood again. Kisses in the caravanserai, an Arabian trader's forbidden romance. Picture yourself in a 9th century caravanserai, a stone-walled oasis on the Silk Road near Baghdad, where the air shimmers with the scent of saffron, camel sweat, and secrets carried on desert winds. The distant call to prayer mingles with the clink of coins and the laughter of traders, weaving a tapestry of life under a sky ablaze with stars. Tonight, you step into the life of a merchant, a master of trade whose heart is entangled in a forbidden love, where every whispered vow is a gamble against fate. You wake at dawn in the caravanserai's upper chamber, the air thick with the lingering warmth of baked stone and the faint musk of frankincense burned in offering the night before. You're a tujar, a merchant of spices and silks, a weaver of wealth in a world where trade is both art and survival. Your bed is a woven rug piled with cushions, nestled in a niche beneath a latticed window that filters the first rays of sunlight into golden slivers. The caravanserai hums with life. Camel grunts, the clatter of pots, the soft murmur of early bargains struck in the courtyard below. You rise, stretching limbs stiffened by days on the trade road, and light a clay lamp, its flickering glow dancing across walls etched with verses of poetry, their curves like the dunes beyond. Your possessions are few but precious. A wooden chest holds ledgers, a bronze scale and pouches of saffron and myrrh, their scents a currency as potent as gold. You whisper a prayer to Allah for guidance and a day free of bandits or broken deals, your breath stirring the dust motes in the lamplight. Hygiene is a ritual of renewal, as sacred as a pilgrimage. The caravanserai's well, fed by an underground spring, offers cool water drawn in a leather bucket, its mineral tang sharp on your tongue. You wash your face and hands, scrubbing with a paste of ground tamarisk and rosewater, its floral bite cutting through the desert's grit. A copper mirror reflects your sun-bronzed skin and coal-lined eyes, a nod to both vanity and protection from the sun's glare. You don a linen robe, dyed indigo and edged with silk embroidery, its folds whispering wealth, and wrap a turban to shield your head from the relentless sun. A leather satchel at your waist carries essentials, a dagger with a hilt carved in geometric stars, a small vial of oud oil. Its woody depth a signature scent, and a silver amulet inscribed with a verse from the Quran, a shield against misfortune. With your goods, saffron from Persia, silk from Samarkand, slung in a camel hair sack, you descend to the courtyard, ready to trade, haggle, and dream of the forbidden. Your day unfolds in the caravanserai's heart, a sprawling courtyard where merchants from Damascus to Changanbata, beneath awnings of woven palm. Trade is your Wi-Fi, connecting you to empires, poets, and the pulse of the desert. You spread your rug in a shaded corner, arranging your wares. Saffron threads glowing like embers, myrrh resin dark as secrets, bolts of silk shimmering like a mirage. Your bronze scale gleams, its weights etched with precision, and your ledger, inked in flowing Arabic script, tracks every dinar and dirham. You haggle with a Syrian trader over saffron, your voice a blend of charm and steel, offering poetry, a line from Al-Mutanabi, when coins alone won't sway him. A camel driver buys myrrh for his wife's cough, paying in dates that taste of sun and dust. And you note the debt in your ledger, your reed pen scratching like a beetle across papyrus. The air hums with deals, laughter, and the clink of coins, but your eyes drift to Zainab, the poetess whose words ignite the caravanserai's evenings, her voice a melody forbidden to you. Zainab is the daughter of a tribal sheikh, her eyes like coal-rimmed stars, her hair a cascade of night beneath a veil of embroidered silk. You met her under the date palms during a poetry gathering, her verses of love and longing piercing your heart like an arrow. She slipped you a scrap of papyrus, inked with a line, "Your gaze is my oasis, forbidden yet eternal." And since then, your meetings have been stolen moments in the caravanserai's shadows. Her father's tribe forbids her union with a merchant, a man of trade rather than noble blood, and your love risks a feud that could burn through the desert like wildfire. Each glance across the courtyard, each brush of her hand as she passes you a clay cup of rosewater, is a spark that could ignite your ruin. Yet, in the chaos of trade, you weave her name into your ledger's margins, a secret script of longing, erased before your apprentice, a sharp-eyed boy named Tariq, can report it to the sheikh. The drama of your love unfolds against the caravanserai's pulse. At dusk, when torches flare and poets gather, Zainab recites under the stars, her words weaving tales of lovers parted by fate, each line a mirror to your heart. You slip her a saffron-dyed ribbon, a token hidden in a fold of her veil, your fingers trembling as they brush hers. The air electric with the risk of discovery. A rival merchant, jealous of your trade and sensing your secret, whispers to the sheikh's men, his words sharp as a scimitar. You overhear their plans to confront you, and that night by the well, Zainab begs you to flee with her to Damascus, where love might outrun honor. The choice tears at you, your trade, your name, your life in the caravanserai versus a future with her, uncertain as a desert storm. You promise to decide by the next full moon, your heart a battlefield of duty and desire, each beat echoing her poetry. The trader's life is fraught with hazards. Bandits lurk on the Silk Road, their blades gleaming with greed for your saffron and silk. A single bad deal, overpaying for damaged goods or undercutting a rival, could bankrupt you, leaving you to beg at the caravanserai's gates. The desert's heat saps your strength, the sand chafes your skin, and tainted water can bring fever that no myrrh can cure. Emotionally, the weight is heavier, the loneliness of long journeys, the fear of losing Zainab to her father's will, the guilt of a secret that could spark bloodshed. You find solace in the caravanserai's community, merchants sharing coffee spiced with cardamom, poets debating love's folly, Tariq's eager questions about trade routes. They jest about your oud-scented robe, calling you the perfumed prince, their laughter a tether to the world beyond your heart's turmoil. Society reveres you as a bringer of wealth, your spices and silks adorning caliphs and poets, but you're a transient, neither noble nor peasant, your status as fluid as the dunes. Some see you as a schemer, profiting from others' needs, while others seek your blessings, believing your travels touch the divine. You honor Allah with prayers at dawn, facing Mecca as the caravanserai wakes, and offer alms to travelers, seeking barakah for your trade and your forbidden love. You burn frankincense to ward off the jinn, their unseen whispers blamed for bad deals or lost caravans, and inscribe verses on parchment to protect Zainab, hiding them beneath your rug. Your spiritual life is a mosaic of faith and superstition, blending Islam's clarity with the desert's older magic. each act a plea for balance in a world of risk and passion. Your legacy isn't in gold or goods, but in the threads you weave, spices that heal, silks that adorn, and a love that defies the desert's laws. You teach Tariq the art of trade, showing him how to weigh saffron with a poet's care, hoping he'll carry your name forward. But your true legacy is Zainab's poetry. Her verse is inspired by your stolen kisses, destined to outlive you both in the mouths of caravanserai bards. History remembers traders in market ledgers, in caravan songs, in the scent of saffron drifting across empires. You were no mere merchant, but a weaver of dreams, trading wealth and heart in a world of sand and stars. As the caravanserai quiets, the torches dim, and the desert wind sings, you sip rosewater, its sweetness lingering, and let the night's embrace carry you into sleep's gentle oasis. You're born in mud, not near it, not around it, in it. A peasant's cradle wrapped in straw, the smell of livestock stronger than the smell of your own mother. Your first breath isn't fresh air, it's manure and smoke from a damp fire that never quite catches. And that pretty much sums up the life ahead of you. You grow fast but not strong. No one grows strong here, just tired. By 10, your hands are already blistered from gripping tools too heavy for your frame. You spend your days bent over fields that never seem to yield enough, nights curled up on a floor of packed dirt. Your parents don't sugarcoat it. This is your life. You'll work until your back gives out, then you'll die at 40 if you're lucky. Probably earlier. Fun, right? By 15, something inside you cracks. It happens on a grey evening while you're hauling buckets of water, your shoulders screaming, your feet sinking into the muck. The smell of goats clings to your skin. The weight of tomorrow presses on your chest, and for the first time, you can actually see the future. It's endless and it looks exactly like today. You realize if you don't leave now, you'll never leave at all. So before dawn, you run. No plan, no goodbyes, just a pair of cracked boots and the kind of desperation that moves your legs faster than fear. The fields fade into forest, the forest into road, and by the time the sun climbs, you're already farther than you've ever been. The city isn't what you imagined. You pictured opportunity, bustling markets, maybe a roof that doesn't leak. What you get is smoke choking the streets, beggars fighting over scraps, and men with knives who watch you like prey. Still, it's not the fields. That alone feels like victory. You scrape by with whatever work you can find, scrubbing chamber pots, hauling sacks, sweeping filth from alleys. Enough to eat, not enough to matter. Then you see him. A man rides into the square, a rope dragging behind his horse. At the end of that rope, an outlaw, limp, dust-coated, eyes staring at nothing. The rider dismounts, no crest, no uniform, just leather worn by travel and steel that looks used. He spits, holds out a hand, and a purse of silver lands in it. More than you've ever seen in your life. The crowd stares. You stare harder. Not at the outlaw, not at the silver. At him. A bounty hunter. Free. Answering to no lord, no master. Just the hunt and the pay. And in that moment, it hits you like a hammer to the skull. That's it. That's your way out. Within weeks, you're lurking around taverns, scanning posts nailed to wooden boards, listening for whispers of men worth coin. The first one's easy. A thief caught stealing bread, drunk and half asleep in a haystack. Dragging him back is harder than finding him, but the silver lands in your hand all the same. One coin brighter than anything you've touched before, and just like that, you're hooked. The fields are behind you, the city barely tolerates you, but the road ahead. It smells of sweat, steel and coin. Dangerous, bloody, uncertain, but at least it isn't dirt and goats. At least it isn't peasant life. Your first bounty was almost too easy. A drunk thief in a haystack, one coin in your hand. For a moment you think maybe this job isn't so bad. Maybe it's all luck and silver. But then reality hits you like the butt of a mace. The next job isn't a thief passed out in straw. It's a deserter, quick on his feet, sharper than you'll ever be. And suddenly you realize this work isn't about easy paydays. It's about pain. His boot prints vanish in the mud. Rumors send you in circles, and when you finally corner him in a tavern, he doesn't surrender. He smashes a stool over your back. You go down, choking on ale and splinters, before you even manage to draw your blade. The fight that follows isn't heroic. It's ugly. punches, broken teeth, someone's fork in your thigh. By the time you drag him back, your face is swollen, your leg is bleeding, and the silver barely feels worth it. But you don't quit. You can't. Once you've touched that coin, once you've seen what freedom tastes like, you'd rather die than go back to goats and manure. So you learn. You teach yourself to read the ground, which prints are fresh, which are fakes, meant to throw you off. You learn that people lie with their mouths, but not with their eyes. That when someone says never seen him but won't meet your gaze, you've already got your lead. You discover taverns are better than maps, and barmaids know more than any lord. And slowly, painfully, you stop looking like prey. But the lessons cost you. Bruises pile up, ribs crack, blades cut deeper than pride. You wake up some mornings and can't remember which scar came from which fight. One outlaw clubs you so hard you can't hear out of your left ear for a week. Another nearly guts you with a broken bottle, and yet every time, you drag yourself back onto your feet, because the alternative is crawling home in shame to milk goats. Eventually, you earn enough to buy a horse. She's a disaster. Ears pinned back, teeth sharp as daggers, the kind of animal that looks for excuses to buck you off. More than once she scrapes you against a low branch just to prove she's in charge. But she's yours. And for the first time, you're not walking from town to town like a beggar with a blade. By 20, you're not green anymore. You're not a master either, but you're faster, sharper, harder. You've got scars across your arms, a limp on cold mornings and eyes that see things most men miss. You've dragged in thieves, raiders, deserters, and liars of every kind. You've been spat on, cursed, thanked, and ignored. But through it all, the silver keeps clinking. Each coin a reminder that you chose this path, that you carved it out with blood and broken bones. You're not a farmer, not a servant, not bound to anyone's field. You're a bounty hunter now. And the hunt has only just begun. By the time you hit 30, people know your name. Not everyone, but enough. The kind of innkeepers who used to squint at you suspiciously now nod and clear a table. Guards who once checked your saddlebags at the gate now wave you through. You're not a knight, not sworn to crown or country, but you've built something rarer, a reputation. And that reputation earns you work. You don't have to linger by tavern walls anymore. Jobs find you. A steward slides a contract across the table. A merchant presses a purse into your palm with shaking hands. They don't care about your scars, your limp, or the blood drying on your boots. They care that when you take a bounty, the job gets done. The coin gets heavier, silver turns into gold. Suddenly, you can afford good meals, warm beds, boots that don't split after a month. Your horse, once a half-wild nightmare, has been replaced by a steadier mare that doesn't try to kill you. For the first time in your life, you're comfortable. Almost. But then come the jobs that sit wrong in your gut. One contract is a murderer, another a raider, easy to take. But some names don't fit. A boy who struck back after his lord beat him bloody. A beggar caught stealing a loaf. A stable hand who ran when the levy came. They're worth coin too, sometimes even more. And the stewards who hire you, they don't ask for justice. They ask for obedience. You tell yourself it's just the job, that if you don't drag them in, someone worse will. That it's not your fault the world is cruel. But the justifications rattle in your head when you lie awake at night, staring at ceilings that feel too clean, too quiet. The years start to wear you down in ways even coin can't fix. Your shoulder doesn't heal like it used to. A bad arrow wound makes you limp when the rain comes. Some mornings you can barely lift your blade before the ache sets in, and when you catch your reflection in a tankard of ale, you hardly recognize the man staring back. Grey in the beard, hard eyes, a face carved into spostone by time and violence. Yet the world keeps spinning and the hunt doesn't stop. Younger bounty hunters show up, faster, hungrier, more brutal than you ever were. They eye you with something between admiration and calculation. To them, you're not a rival. You're a legend fading into the background, a story they'll tell when they surpass you. And you feel it. The weight of years. The silence in tavern corners when your name comes up. Still sharp, but not like he used to be. You hear it once, twice, enough times to know it's true. You're not unstoppable anymore. You're just experienced. But still the work comes, the coin clinks. Your name carries weight, if only just enough. And so you ride on, through blood, through mud, through the endless blur of faces you've dragged in. Because what else is there? You're a bounty hunter, and by now the cost is written all over you. The years grind on. 40 now, maybe older. You've stopped counting. Your name still means something, but less than it once did. People respect you, sure, but they don't fear you. Not like before. Your joints ache on cold mornings, your sword feels heavier every season, and the silver that once seemed endless slips away faster than you can earn it. Then one evening, in the rain, a knock rattles your door. No words, just a bounty poster thrust into your hand. You glance at the sketch and freeze. You know the face. A woman. Thief, raider of a noble's carriage years ago. Clean getaway. The noble claimed she ruined him, but you heard the whispers. He starved his village with taxes so high no one could pay. She didn't steal out of greed, she stole to live. Last you saw her, she was at the market. A child clutched her hand. Same eyes, same fire. The poster says she's still wanted. The reward? Enough to live like a lord until the end of your days. For a long moment you stare at it. Then you nod, close the door, and tell yourself it's just another job. One last hunt. Tracking her isn't hard. Desperation leaves trails, and you've followed enough of them to know where they lead. By nightfall, you're crouched outside a shack at the edge of town, rain dripping from your hood. A rope coils in your hand, familiar, heavy. When she steps outside, lantern light on her face, child in her arms, she spots you instantly. And she knows. She runs. You follow. Your knees lock up, pain screaming, but you push through. She ducks into an alley, dead end. She whirls around, clutching the child, eyes wide with fear. And in them you see more than fear. You see yourself. Years ago. Running from fields and manure, desperate for something better. The rope slips from your hand. For a moment neither of you moves. Then her face softens, fear melting into something else. Relief, gratitude. She whispers a quiet, "Thank you," as she passes, child pressed to her chest. And just like that, she's gone. You stand there for a long while, rain soaking your cloak, wondering if you just made the biggest mistake of your life, or the only right choice you've ever made. There's no silver, no glory, but for the first time in years, something in your chest feels lighter. Days later, you find yourself in a tavern, a coin down, an ale in your hand, trying to drown the thought. Then you see it, on the wall, a sketch, crude but clear enough. Your face, your name, a bounty. You stare at it, a bitter laugh caught in your throat. The irony bites deep. You've spent your life dragging men and women to their fate, and now it's your turn. Behind you, a blade whispers free of its sheath. A younger hunter, stronger, faster, hungrier. You don't hesitate. Your hand goes to your weapon, heart pounding with the certainty of how this ends. But hey, at least you didn't end up a peasant. Viking herbal medicine. Picture yourself in a Viking village, nestled between jagged cliffs and a restless sea, where the air carries the sharp scent of pine, the briny tang of salt and the faint promise of hope. Tonight, we wander into the life of a Viking healer, where every leaf holds a secret, every poultice a prayer, and the earth itself is your apothecary. You wake before dawn in the longhouse, stirring from a dream as the embers in the central hearth glow like fading stars, casting a faint warmth against the chill. The air is heavy with the smoky residue of last night's fire, mingling with the earthy bitterness of dried herbs hanging from the rafters. You're a Lechnia, a healer in this rugged settlement, revered yet liminal, a bridge between mortal ailments and the gods' whims. Your bed is a wooden bench padded with wolf and deer furs, stiff but warm, pressed against a wall where bundles of yarrow. Nettle and mugwort dangle their leaves, rustling like whispered sagas when the wind sneaks through the thatched roof. The longhouse hums with life, snores from sleeping warriors, the soft creak of beams settling, and the distant crash of waves against the fjord's rocky shore, a reminder that the world beyond never rests. Your corner is your sanctuary, a sacred nook amid the communal sprawl. A sturdy wooden chest, carved with runes of protection, holds your tools. A stone mortar and pestle worn smooth by years of grinding, bone needles for stitching wounds, linen strips for binding, and a small clay vial of angelica oil, its sharp scent a ward against infection. Above, a shelf cradles clay pots of birch sap and dried juniper berries, their faint sweetness cutting through the longhouse's musk. You light a rush lamp, its wick sputtering in tallow, casting shadows that dance across the timber walls like spirits summoned by your touch. Kneeling by the chest, you sip from a bowl of birch sap. Its cool, slightly sweet taste, a morning ritual to clear your mind, and murmur a prayer to Freya, goddess of love and Seder, for wisdom to heal, and the mercy to avoid a day of festering wounds or angry jarls. Hygiene is no indulgence but a necessity, practical as a well-sharpened axe. The southern lands may boast marble baths, but here in the Norse north, cleanliness is a battle won with effort. You dip a rag into a bucket of icy stream water, drawn at dusk from the silver vein that cuts through the village, and scrub your face, the cold biting like a playful frost giant. Your hands, calloused from crushing roots and weaving bandages, get a gritty cleanse with a paste of wood ash and sheep fat, its faint animal smell clinging like a stubborn guest. If the day allows, you'll join the women at the sweat lodge, where hot stones hiss with juniper-infused water, the steam purging body and soul in a haze of sharp, cleansing fragrance. For now you braid your hair tightly, securing it beneath a woolen cap dyed with wodas deep blue, to keep it from snagging on thorns during your morning forage. Your attire is functional, yet marked by your role. A linen tunic, green as the meadow's heart, layered with a sheepskin cloak to fend off the dawn's chill. A leather pouch at your waist carries essentials, a flint knife for harvesting, a vial of angelica oil, and a small Thor's hammer charm, its weight a quiet promise of protection against spirits that lurk in the unseen. Your day begins with the land, your true pharmacy, where herbs are the threads connecting you to the earth's pulse and the god's will. You step outside, the village still cloaked in pre-dawn mist, the air sharp with salt and pine. The meadow beyond the longhouse is your destination, where yarrow grows in defiant clumps, its feathery leaves glistening with dew like tiny offerings to the gods. You kneel, whispering thanks to Odin, who gifted this plant its power to staunch blood, and slice the stems with your flint knife, careful to leave enough for next season. Nature's balance is as sacred as a vow. By the river, where the water murmurs over smooth stones, you gather meadow sweet, its creamy white flowers promising relief for fevers and aches, their honeyed scent a fleeting comfort. Stinging nettle comes next, its prickly leaves a challenge you meet with gloved hands, knowing its bite hides strength to restore weary warriors or frail children. You pause by a juniper bush, its berries dark and potent, and collect a handful, their resinous aroma a shield against disease. Each plant is a verse in the saga of survival, taught by your mother, her mother, and the women before, a lineage of knowledge as enduring as the fjords. Back at the longhouse, you hang your harvest to dry above the hearth, the herb's sharp scents weaving into the smoky air like a battle cry against sickness. You grind angelica root in your mortar, its pungent earthiness filling your senses as you prepare a salve for wounds, mixing it with beeswax that smells of summer's end. The work is methodical, almost meditative, each motion a ritual: crush, blend, bind, heal. Your hands move with the confidence of generations, knowing yarrow seals cuts, angelica fights infection, mugwort coaxes dreams that touch the divine. As the village stirs, warriors sharpening axes, women stoking fires, you ready your remedies, a healer poised between life's fragility and the god's caprice. Your role is both craft and calling, a dance of skill and faith. A warrior stumbles in, his legs slashed from a raid gone sour, blood soaking through a rag tied hastily above his knee. You guide him to a bench, clean the wound with water boiled with juniper berries, its antiseptic sting drawing a hiss from his clenched teeth. You crush yarrow leaves, their bitter green scent sharp as you press them into the gash, binding it with linen strips as you hum a charm to Frigg, goddess of hearth and healing, for strength to knit flesh. For a child shivering with fever, you brew meadow-sweet tea, its floral warmth easing her mother's anxious gaze, and add a splash of birch sap, its mineral tang a tonic to restore vitality. You work with quiet precision, but your heart quickens when Bjorn enters. A warrior whose sea-storm eyes and spear-scarred arms have haunted your dreams since you first tended his wounds. He brings gifts, a bone comb carved with ravens, a rare sprig of chamomile plucked from a trader's pack, whispering of a life together, a forbidden dream barred by the Jarl's decree that healers remain unwed to serve the village as needs. His touch, as you rebind a fresh wound on his shoulder, is a stolen rune, etching a love that could see you both exiled, yet in the flicker of the rush lamp you let yourself imagine a hearth of your own, warmed by his laughter. The hazards of your craft are as relentless as a winter storm. Herbs can falter. Silphium, that prized herb for preventing pregnancy, is nearly extinct, forcing reliance on risky brews of rue and parsley, their bitter taste a gamble between relief and ruin. Infections persist despite your salves, and the god's silence can feel like betrayal when a wound festers beyond saving. A misjudged dose could sicken rather than heal, and a failed cure might spark whispers of Seder gone wrong, branding you a witch in a village quick to fear the uncanny. The physical toll is heavy, hands raw from grinding, lungs stung by smoke, but the emotional weight cuts deeper. Mothers' pleas for dying infants, warriors masking pain with bravado, Bjorn's quiet confessions that tempt you to defy fate. You find solace in the sisterhood of the village's women, sharing nettle tea by the fire, trading tales of cures and losses under a sky pierced by stars. Sigrid, who brews the best juniper tonic, jests about cursing a rival's herb patch, while Astrid, whose hands shake from years of tending the sick, teaches you a new chant to soothe restless spirits. Society views you with reverence and suspicion, a healer vital to survival yet too close to the unseen. The Jarl seeks your omens before raids. Warriors beg your salves for battle scars, but some mutter you wield Seder's dangerous magic, your herb-stained fingers marked by otherworldly power. You honor Freya with offerings of honey and wildflowers, burn juniper branches to banish evil spirits, their smoke curling like a dragon's breath, and carve defixiones, curse tablets buried in secret, to thwart rivals who encroach on your craft. You pray to Fortuna for luck when coin is scarce, to Mercury for safe trade when bartering herbs with southern merchants, and to Libertas in quiet moments, dreaming of a freedom that might include Bjorn's hand in yours. Your work is not just healing but balance, weaving earth and myth to hold back death's tide. Your legacy won't be carved in runestones or sung in sagas, but in the lives you touch. The child who runs again, her laughter echoing through the village, the warrior who fights another day, his strength your silent victory, the forbidden glances with Bjorn that promise a future you dare not name. As you age, you'll pass your knowledge to a daughter or apprentice, your remedies a thread in the tapestry of the village's survival. History remembers Viking healers in fragments, sagas buried herb pouches, runestones etched with gratitude. You are no mere herbalist but a keeper of harmony, blending soil and spirit to defy death's grasp. Your name may fade like mist over the fjord, but the scent of yarrow, the echo of your chants, and the warmth of lives saved linger in the wind. As the hearth's embers dim and the longhouse falls silent, you sip birch sap, its cool clarity grounding you, and let the sea's ceaseless lullaby carry you into sleep's gentle arms.